Hey everyone, and welcome to the channel. Today we're going to be looking at the S.H.Figuarts Android 20, and this pretty much completes the releases of the major androids in the core of Dragon Ball Z, because they have previously released 16, 17, and 18. They are pretty old figures at this point. They did do updated paint styles as event exclusives at one point, and that's really annoying because I didn't grab those, and they are going for crazy amounts right now. So hopefully we'll get new figures entirely at some point, but that is not what we're talking about now. This is Android 20, and he helps round out the releases they've done so far. So they've had 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20. There's also been Android 21, two different versions of them, and Imperfect Cell and Perfect Cell. Hopefully we'll get a second stage cell as well as a new Perfect Cell, because we kind of need it at this point. Even some of the movie androids would be cool too. But today we're talking about Android 20. Now, he played a pretty important role in the story, realistically set up the androids, and it is Dr. Gero who did play a large role historically in the Dragon Ball franchise. So it is cool to have a figure of him finally, and he looks pretty damn perfect to what he did in the anime. Now, this is a standard S.H.Figuarts box, a clear window into the front, prime images along the sides and back, pretty much nothing crazy there. But taken out of the box, you can see what he comes with. So he's got 4 faces, an alternate brain dome headpiece, so you can change the figure's sort of style quite a bit. He's got an alternate face for the Super Saiyan Full Power Goku. He's got a bunch of different hands. He's got an alternate right arm that's damaged, similar to the Android 19. And he's got a sort of Android self-destruct remote control. So a pretty okay loadout, pretty much everything he needs. The only other accessory that he needs is the hand puncturing Yamcha, which is sold separately with the upcoming Android Saga Yamcha. But overall, a pretty good loadout. I guess it's pretty much what you need out of this figure, because he didn't fight all that much, so there's not too much to do with him. But it is nice to have this sort of lineup of accessories. But taken out of the box and put on a display here is Android 20, also known as Dr. Gero. Now, he shares a lot in common aesthetically with 19, which should come as no surprise because they arrived at the same time, and he designed both of themselves, so I'm guessing that he wanted to keep a sort of aesthetic going. So he's got big puffy shoulders, big puffy pants, as well as that weird little jacket. But in terms of design differences, his head and hat are different, the color scheme is different, and proportions are way different. This figure probably shares more in common with a standard 2.0 S.H.Figuarts than it does the actual Android 19, but there are a few similarities. Now, first up, the sculpt and paintwork is pretty good. I will say on one of my faces there is both a overspray of paint on his mustache as well as a small mark on his forehead, which is a bit of a shame as it's the main neutral face, but it is what it is. I do like the detail on his hair. It is quite heavy and does weigh down the figure, unfortunately, but the sculpt work on it is undeniably great. And all the other paintwork, no matter how simple, is very good. The alternate brain dome headpiece looks absolutely incredible. I really, really love that. And we'll be getting into everything further in the review. So we'll do a quick size comparison. So here he is next to Android 19. As well as the Super Saiyan Full Power Goku, so you can see that Goku stands a little bit taller than both of them. But as a pair, they stand pretty perfect together. They look really good. You can recreate their first appearance in the anime where they're sort of standing stock still and looking side to side, so I like that quite a bit. In terms of posability, I would say that 20 isn't nearly as good as 19. So he's got a ball joint at the head, which allows for a bit of rotation side to side. There's a ball joint at his hair, and it does get in the way quite a bit. The hat can pop off, but it can't sort of spin around like 19's could. The arms can move out that far unassisted. There's a ball joint at the upper arm, as well as a swivel at that sort of like end of the puff. There's a bend at the elbow and a ball hinge at the wrist. He doesn't really have a butterfly at all, so his arms can sort of only move forward like that, which is a bit of a shame because 19 had a bit more. There's a good crunch and ball joint at the waist and chest, which allows for a really deep bend, so I quite like that. It's very free. His legs can move out that far. They can kick forward that far and back that far. He has a knee bend, which is okay, as well as a swivel at the upper thigh, and an ankle tilt and toe bend. And so it's okay posability. It feels quite loose in some parts and quite tight in others. The hair really drags it down in weight, so it's not the best feeling figure really. I quite enjoyed 19 more than I did 20, but it is generally enough. So 20 comes with 4 faces, so he's got his standard neutral face, he's got his eyes squinting looking to the side, he's got a little smirking face, as well as a mouth open shouting face. And all of these faces look fantastic, and you can swap between the red ribbon hat or his brain. And that really changes the entire aesthetic of the figure, and I really love that. It's designed differently to 19's brain, which is great because that was all actual android, whereas this still has his human brain, so there's some detail in there that is quite different and looks really nice. Android 20 also comes with an alternate face for Full Power Goku, which is meant to be him in pain having the heart attack. And so it's got a sort of pained expression as well as some sweat droplets on the face. And it looks good enough, but I don't like the faces in general for the Full Power Goku. It doesn't really read as Goku to me, and I think that the face just is shaped a little bit weird. I don't know if other people share that opinion, but it's a nice enough alternate expression, and it works well enough. But with all those accessories, you can get quite a bit of expressiveness out of this figure. You are a little bit limited because some accessories work better than others, or some accessories work well together, like say the torn off arm and the Android destruction remote. And he doesn't have the most dynamic range in terms of like action poses, but I think you can get enough out of him, especially with like spread open hands, because then you can see the little red jewel for absorbing energy. So that looks nice. And I think he works well with sort of like static poses or fairly generic poses. You can make him look quite calm and collected while fighting, which is cool. But overall, not the craziest. But overall, I wasn't too sure what poses to put him into. Just really simple static ones were basically what I stuck with. And it's more so I just like the idea of having a 19 and 20 standing next to each other. I didn't really particularly want them in, say, like torn off arms pose for 19 or the torn off arm and remote for 20. I more so just wanted them next to each other because it's their silhouette, their presence, the colors, and the design that really strikes me as like, this is what these characters are. This is like the androids have arrived sort of moment. And that's what I wanted out of these figures. We'll see when they do that alternate part for Yamcha if this changes my opinion of this figure at all. But generally, it's just fine, nothing too crazy. In terms of a playable figure, I preferred the 19 more than the 20, but you can't have one without the other realistically, and they both look really good together. And I just really want them to do a 16, 17, and 18 for like a new mold style, because I want those figures and they're way too hard to get right now. But that's pretty much it. I hope you enjoyed that video, and I will see you all next time.